the fact that we do need to organize on an economic basis more than anything else, because education is good, but you have to be able to apply your education. You have to be able to have an infrastructure that will allow you to do so to where it could be beneficial to the community as a whole.
Coming from a household to where, my father had 2 jobs to make ends meet and be broke. That's the type of scenario that plagues us, and we really need to be able to understand and think our way out of it, because there's so many pitfalls and traps to keeping us from having economic power.
So we see so many of us who are constantly trying to work 9 to 5, and I understand for some of us who have children that we have to provide for, but that's not a life that we should glorify and that we should be sending our kids to college just to say, hey, get a great job to work, because I can't pass a job down to my child. You know what I mean? A few coins, but we need to teach about being black power, black empowerment, economically sovereign, so we can pass these businesses down generations like they can.
I believe that if you're going to get your kids to go to school, you need to start having them learn how to create and not work for someone, but work for yourself. Entrepreneurship, push that down. Allowing young people to understand that they're their greatest asset, that they're their best brand, that they have the ability and the talent to create something, not just be the person that's going to go to school to work for somebody. I think those are the kind of things that we need to start talking about.
It's so necessary to engage in good relationships and practice group economics.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
now,
sir.
That's where we should
And
be.
we need to. When you turn around, if I could be so blunt, and no disrespecting any of my people that go into church, when you can go look around in the Asian community, they got 5 grocery stores. And in the black community, there's 15 churches. You tell me the problem. That's how serious it is.
That's how serious it is.
5 grocery stores in one community and 15 churches in another, with nowhere to go eat or that looks like you. Nothing that you produced. Everyone else is producing something for you. You have to go to them. So if you're frustrated with them, you can't do anything because they own everything. They're giving you what you need. You're not giving them. You're not providing for your own people.
We are consumers.
Yes, sir.
100% consumers.
And for those...
This is taking back power. Because anybody that walks in here thinking that black people don't have power, or we don't need to get power, and we don't need to create ownership in our community within ourselves, you're a fool. And you're running blind.
And for those of you just joining us, that was the voice of Barry Axius. And for those that don't know you, introduce yourself to the people. Huh?
Barry Axius, voice of the youth, blackblueprints.com, community activist. Just a man that's here to provide change and to move my people forward.
Passion. I created my passion to be my job. Hear what I'm saying, youngsters? So we want you guys to not just come in here with, oh, I'm here. We want you to really be here and be present and soak the information.
Heritage, Haitian?
I'm Haitian. Born in New York, lived in the Bay Area. Have 1 daughter, but I have plenty of other kids that I claim. Just the mentorship program started in 2008, and it's just developed into something organic and something that preceded my expectations, and I've just been in the forefront of a lot of heavy things in our community, police brutality, community violence, education, and we're really focusing on economics because I see that's the only way we get out of all of this chaos that we're in right now.
Brother Barry Axius, an activist here in Sacramento, and Jermaine Morris. Introduce yourself to the family.
I'm Jermaine Morris. I'm from here in Sacramento, and most of my background, I would say I just run my mouth for a living. So most of the stuff I do is speaking events or radio. I was a DJ for a while, a lot of nightclub promotion stuff.
You was a DJ?
Yeah.
He has a DJ voice for real, right?
If you're from Sacramento, and I always like to believe everything I do, my company is Morris Corp. Everything I do is on my name. You're familiar probably if you music, one of my family. So we're all musically based. Mercy Me band.
Jimmy Morris, that's
my Uncle Jimmy.
Okay.
Rhythm Section, Mike Hart, that's my little cousin Mike. Janae.
Morris Day. Oh,
you get us together, we look like the time. Janae Wallace, now Miller, another cousin. We're deep musically. So finding the music part, I was been a DJ, but I used to do artist management and marketing. So I took the paper route to music as opposed to the performance side.
Okay, and how did you get involved with the Financial Empowerment Summit?
So I'm somebody who in some of my jobs, I've got to travel as a sports writer for a minute. I've done a lot of jobs, first off. So I've got to travel around and kind of see a lot of different things that go on. And when I started to look around the community, I was starting to turn into one of those people who had an issue with the things that I saw. And rather than be somebody who complains about all these kids are this or this community is that, I just decided to, instead of being somebody who complains about it, to become actively and engaged. So I don't come from a long history of activism work or whatever. I come from a family of people who know how to use a microphone.
Okay.
I come from a long line of people who know how to use their voice. Worse. So the reason why we're doing this today, we're not expecting you to leave out of here as accountants. We don't think you're going to be doing your parents' taxes this April. This is to give you a good understanding of kind of how stuff works. And so as you go to school, some stuff will make more sense, and then you're going to realize there's a lot of stuff you're going to learn today that you could be graduating high school, or like this young lady just graduated, that you've never heard of, because they're not teaching you in school, but they're expecting you to learn it when you get out. So a lot of the information that you're going to hear today, some of it may not be the most fun, because typically it's not, but it is necessary. And so that's what I've decided to do. Shine light on things that I've noticed that I'm aware of, and then get involved, not just talk about what I think needs to be changed, but I think I'm a somewhat smart guy, and so I try to figure out ways to make them better.
Okay. I don't know if you're going to be one of the speakers, but with a voice like that, you could be. But tell us about, you're going to have some guest speakers up in there.
Yeah, so when it comes to the event, so the vision, and so it's introducing younger people, young boys and girls, young brothers and sisters, to the idea of finance credit.
How young?
12. What I call the age of understanding. So I set 12 as a young age, but really you don't want kids that are sitting there and can't sit still for 10 minutes, mentally chasing butterflies. You want the age that's young enough to take in information. So that's why I say 12. But if you're an 11-year-old can do it, then fine.
So between 12 and 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the stuff that I wanted to stress is because what we're talking about is, number one, credit. And typically we don't learn the significance of credit until we've already ruined ours.
Okay.
So what I do is I go and find this company called collection agencies. Some of y'all might have heard about them in your lifetime. Letters might have showed up at the house, calling looking for a relative. Collection agencies are a group of people buy debt. So I'm gonna use my brother here as an example. Stand up for me. So you borrowed the money from me. I can't get it from you. I called you, I went by your mama's house, by your job, everywhere. I'm all over the place looking for you. I can't find you. So what I do is I cut my losses. I said, he now owes me $160 because of all the finance charges from the 100 he took me. So this brother represents collection agency. So he's like, look, that $160 debt that he owes you, I'm gonna buy it from you for $60. I'm gonna give you $60 because you ain't been able to get a dime from him. So to me, it's like I would rather take the $60 from you and be done with it than be negative $160 what he owes me. So he pays me $60. I'm done with it. I'm done with you. What happens is now you owe him. So I'm a business. I'm a department store. I'm whatever. My job is not chasing folks down for my money, but his job is. So I've tried to call you, tried to write letters, whatever. I'm through with it. So I took his $60. So now that $160 you owe me, you owe him. And he is a much more aggressive dude to come get his money. So now he's literally showing up. He's literally all over the place. Everywhere you go, he can't duck you. And for your credit score, he's attached this thing to your credit score. You got.
Can some grown folks get in on this one? Because when you start talking about credit, there's some grown folks that need to be, elevated, conscious, aware.
They should have came to Dr. Boyce Watkins on September 11th.
Just had Dr. Boyce Watkins with
exactly. Where was y'all at?
Just had it.
But we're gonna actually have a few adult classes as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that we have basically forgotten about is if we want to go to college, if we want to actually start our own business. So what's not cutting right now, which used to be the principle, was if you went to college and you got a good degree and you found a good job, when you retired, you felt that you were set, right? The rules have changed. It's changed so much that You can have a college degree right now, and you can't get a job, right? You can actually have a good job and have a career, and what's happening is you're going to hear very shortly employers is actually getting rid of those pension plans. I'm actually right now in negotiation with a Fortune 60 billionaire organization, and they have got rid of the employees' pensions and given the employees a 401k with a match of 5%. When we actually ask the employer right now how much they were saving, they save $600,000 in 1 year on not putting aside a pension plan for employees. That's pretty bad, isn't it? Okay. When once upon a time, employers used to absolutely
And so with the significance of credit, and starting just with credit, why this is so important and something that we need to be aware of is that, okay, I'm 38. So I'm just at the end of the benchmark, but this won't really apply to me because I've got 20 years of life experience, job history, and work. So I can pretty much be okay when it goes into different professions and work. If you're of a younger generation, they start to implement it into certain jobs now, but your credit score is going to be implemented into your job application. There's a lot of us that don't know about it. Certain professions, they have it, like law enforcement or something, whatever, they run your credit. Because your credit score is your digital word. If your credit is strong, that means you're responsible, you do what you say you're going to do, you pay your bills on time. The inverse of that is if your credit is not good, then that shows that you're irresponsible, on paper, that you're irresponsible and don't do what you say you're going to do. So there's going to be a lot of young people who are qualified, as in they went to school or they got their training, but because they went wild with a gas card or a department store credit card, they may find themselves getting X out of opportunities for employment.
I mean, this is just very, very basic financial stuff that, you know, these are our tools, essentially, because you have to understand where we live in. Okay, we live in a capitalistic society, all right? So if we don't equip ourselves with the simple tools to know, like, hey, what's an asset, what's going to put money in my pocket, what's going to take money out of my pocket, you know, we're at a disadvantage big time, you know? And, you know, you're going to, either way, you're going to have to pay. You know, you're going to have to pay for getting the education, or you're going to have to pay to learn for, you know, for what you don't know.
The second side to that when it comes that our young people need to be aware of when it comes to business building, which is another thing we're going to focus on, is because the minimum wage hike. Now, everybody's pushing for the $15 an hour move. But what a lot of people also don't get is that when you up the minimum wage that substantially, that leads to massive layoffs. So if you're somebody who has, they already laid off people when it jumped up to where it is now. Then you're talking about going up another $5 an hour over these next couple of years. If you're a business owner and you can afford to pay 3 people $10 an hour, now you have to pay 3 people $15. You're going to fire 2, get part-timers, and then slightly raise your prices to offset the difference. So if you're somebody coming up looking to get a job, 12, 13, 14, 15, by the time you're in the workforce and that minimum wage hike kicks up, it's going to be even harder to get a full-time job. And then something as simple as a bad credit score because you didn't have money and you went crazy at the mall, now even with the proper training and education, you still find yourself X'd out of getting an opportunity to be employed.
What we have to break the habit of and get our mind really around is collecting assets, okay? So if you like to collect stuff, don't collect a liability, all right? My man, what did I just say?
You said you got a lot of money, so...
That was not the right thing. My man, come here. All right. I want you to tell everybody the difference. If you're a businessman, you know what I'm saying? First of all, tell everyone what your business is.
I work like in the youth program, so I do a lot of businesses. So I work in like snow cones and stuff.
So that's your specific business, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I want you to tell everyone what the difference between a balance sheet, or excuse me, assets and a liability.
What do you mean, for my business?
No, just a simple definition, what we just talked about.
Oh, so an asset is something that put money in your pocket, and a liability, something that takes out your pocket.
Okay, all right, now let's go back and sit down. Please pay attention. Thank you very much, sir. All right.
So why it's so necessary to create business building and plant the seed in these young people's minds about group economics, and that's spending your money within your community. You know, the rule is you spend it within your community, but you sell to everybody. and you build up your network and you build up your community economically, so each person is passing that dollar within the community, so you can build and thrive. If you take your dollar in and then the first thing you do when you get it, you spend it in another community, no one in your community benefits from your dollar.
So you have to think about ownership. And don't think about the name brand. When I was a kid, I used to wear these jackets called derbies. And they used to always say, "You got the real one? You got the real one?" And the inside it was like, "Oh, yeah, you got the real one." We look back and like, that was stupid. And we talked about the kids who didn't have the real one. "Oh man, you couldn't afford it, you got the cheap one." And we made fun of them. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. I have 3 sisters.
Okay, last thing, consumer loyalty. So, anybody know who the #1 spending group in America is in terms of dollars? All of you. Black folks. Okay. We spend more than anybody else in the entire country. Wanna know why? Because we're loyal. Now, I can tell you now, see on your feet, see a lot. I see some J's, see some Adidas. Sure, we got some Trues maybe, somebody might got some Polo on. Okay, as a group, as a community, we are very loyal in the types of items that we purchase as consumers. But if we can take that consumer loyalty from businesses that don't look like and profit our community and put those into businesses that actually are within our community, then we can change our economic output and our interests, okay?
So if you're in the Sacramento area and you live in Elk Grove and you get your paycheck in Elk Grove, but you spend all your money in Roseville, everybody in Roseville benefits, but nobody in Elk Grove.
So this is about group economics.
Group economics also. That's hugely, it's so important. And I'm long-winded, so you won't have to tap me out when it comes to talking about money.
Freedom, control, money, power, respect, job, happiness, territory, love, career. Does any of that have anything in common with all of us?
Got one person right over
there. Go. Speak.
Y'all have.
You said you wanted the mic.
I know. Anyways, all those have a tie with all of us, you know. Freedom, first off, I don't really believe in the word freedom because they don't really give us that, but we really do have our freedom and our control, our power. You don't gotta be presidential, you don't gotta have all the money in the world. You can be broke and still have all those characters, you know. That's it.
Right, thank you. That's what I'm talking about, the very solid. Right, because sometimes we may not get those things given to us, right? But some of those things we have the power of creating. And to me, those words have in common the fact that we talk about wealth empowerment today, right? And being wealthy. Well, what does it really mean to be wealthy? Does it mean being the richest player on the block? Does it mean global capital? Does it mean having a whole bunch of cars? Right? Generations, say that one more time. Generations. Wealth goes on through generations. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's money as well. You know, do we have a need to feel respected among the people that we're around? Do we have a need to feel happiness on a daily basis and keep our stress levels down? Right? Do we have a need to have some sort of control over our lives? Some of these things may be harder to get than others, but the point is that wealth is defined by what you feel wealth is. And just because you're the richest person on earth does not make you the happiest person or the wealthiest person. There are plenty of rich, lonely, miserly people who sit there with all that money and probably die with it, but don't have a person that cares about them in the whole world. To me, having family and having a tight circle of friends that I know will have my back, that's a form of wealth. So I really wanted to hit home among all of us as we're talking about managing our finances and managing our debt. We also want to make sure that we're managing our lives so that when we are wealthy to our standards, It's a complete wealth, and it's not just about money, okay?
This is the first of many different things. The economics is something that we want to make sure intentionally we're focusing on, because without economics, it doesn't matter what you do as black people today, we will not be empowered. Look at an overall spectrum, and we're not going to get everything today, but we're hoping today that you guys grasp a little bit of something so that next time around when we're doing this, it's not as foreign as it seems to some of you guys. You have to understand that if we don't support and start practicing in group economics and building with each other, spending with each other, supporting each other, educating each other, we are going to be another lost race. We're not going to have any leverage. We're still going to yell Black Lives Matter instead of Black Power Matters. Our dollars count, but we don't utilize them right. So we cannot look and try to find some surrounding superhero to come save us. We have to be able to save ourselves. Do we understand that? And every single one of you young people have the opportunity to be great. Understand that. Every single one of you have the opportunity to be great. You are greatness. 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 But you have to now apply that greatness. And economic empowerment is going to last you a lifetime if you use it correctly.
I think my takeaway was just seeing and understanding that they just don't know this information yet, and I don't see that anyone outside of what we're trying to do right now is trying to teach them this information. So I think the takeaway is that they have so much potential and so much opportunity to grow, and I think it's just great that we're planting these seeds and eventually going to be able to witness the return.
What went through my mind was a lot of these young people want to learn, and they when you talk to them about information like what we talked about today, I can see a spark in their eyes, and I can see the head nodding and going, oh yeah, because it's new to them, but it's also intriguing, and I think they want to learn, and I think the more we give it to them and the more seeds that we plant, I think they're just going to be better in the future.
I noticed a hunger, a desire to learn. Looking at their faces, you can tell these kids want to be somebody. They want to be empowered. And seeing that hunger, it was really amazing. And I was blown away by their willingness to want and be engaged in the conversation. While we're just giving some basics overall, they were really wanting to know. You could see it in their eyes. You can hear it in their conversation. And I thought it was amazing.